Coming at you nearly live and direct from the Stephen King state of eternal weirdness and frostbite, we proudly bring to you the mystical duo of all things bizarre and macabre, as they will serve as your guides on a magical mystery tour de la Jolla of creepiness. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we have a show for you today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Exactly. After a little hiatus.
Yes, we did have some time off.
Just a little bit, but we had good reason.
We did. It was important stuff.
Yeah, there's a new little baby going around the house. And,
well, not by himself.
Well, you haven't seen it, but I'll let you know I have seen it.
Okay.
So, no, we've had a lot of fun here as of late, and unfortunately, that has prevented us from having a show.
Yes.
Yet we've had all kinds of new listeners.
We have.
And we're very excited for all you new listeners, new subscribers to the show. Hopefully we will not let you down too hard. We try not to, we try to let everyone down gently.
Yes.
You come here looking for information and news and fun, and we give you one of those. So
you just don't know which one.
You don't know which one. It could be different each week. We would like to welcome Kyler John Edwards into the fold of weird.
Yes.
Into the macabre house of...
Oh, he fits right in already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's a weird baby.
You can tell.
He is a strange child.
Yes.
He already's like looking around and, doing his best cat thing where he's like looking at the ceiling while you're talking to him and obviously listening to other people,
Right.
So, very cool. And once again, I hate that we missed it, but wow, we missed it for a good reason, right?
We did.
So I will say, ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your place to go to find everything Paranormal Babies. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. On the Twitter, it's @Sideshow97. On Instagram, Hot Raja Had a Baby Dam. John and Stacey Edwards.
Oh, and you can see some pictures of that baby.
Oh, yeah. There's a few pictures of the baby. And on YouTube, search Paranormal Sideshow. You can also find us, kids, on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere you like to download music. And if it's not there, and download podcast, that is. If it's not there, let us know. Drop Stacey a line at johnandstaceyedwards@gmail.com.
And I will see about getting it there.
Absolutely. She is vicious on the phone, folks. She will make sure that it's there. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We do.
There has been a few things happen since the last show.
Well, yes, and one major thing that we talked about on the last show that happened during our time off
what would that be?
Your appearance on Ghost Brothers.
My appearance on Ghost
Brothers.
Brothers.
What a good episode it was.
It was. If I dare say that it was the greatest episode Ghost Brothers ever had.
I think so.
It had a little bit of everything. It had a lot of fear. It had a sexy investigator.
Which would be you.
Yes. So, sorry, Jawan. No, it was great. And I want to talk about that a little bit. For years, everybody, that followed us knows that we made documentaries, and we made several documentaries. Actually, we made a lot of documentaries, and only several may ever found their way to anywhere.
Right.
But somehow, some way, somebody found me out in Holly, Vegas, and out in Hollywood, and I got a phone call from a beautiful lady, named Benita, and she let me know that what was going on and that they needed me for one investigation, right?
Right.
So it just so happened that investigation fell through,
right?
And she's like, "Oh my God, do you have anything else? Something that's never been on TV?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually I do."
Just so happens.
Actually, I have a place near that place that's never been on TV. The weird thing about this is it was, on the episode, if you haven't seen it, you can go to the Destination America Go app and download the episode. And I believe you can also, buy the episode on any streaming service.
Amazon or something.
I think Amazon has all the Destination America stuff.
I think so.
If you don't just see a repeat of it. It's the Cott County Memorial Building episode that I'm on. And, back to the story of that. the little bit behind the scenes. It's kind of funny. This is very much behind the scenes. They talk about the person who had the bingo ball incident happen to them.
Right.
That was me.
Right.
I guess they just didn't want to be like, I would have to have all these different hats on. Be like, well, this happened to him, and this happened to him. This. Actually, as far as evidence goes, it was Matt Scott, a friend of mine and fellow investigator back in the day, and Josh Hopkins and Steve Fury and all these people and we were all investigating. And when we caught that, I was effing murdered. EVP.
Right.
A lot of dark stuff happened in that building. But I will tell you, within the first 5 minutes of investigating, something happened when I was with Marcus of the Ghost Brothers. And I told the guys, I told everyone. And number one, the whole story was my story. She called me. I called her back 10 minutes later.
Right.
I'm like, look, I don't think you can get this building. I don't think you can get this building. I just don't think it can happen because it's supposedly condemned.
Right.
And I've tried getting the building again. I first did this investigation in like 2004, 5, 6, somewhere around there. I apologize. I have slept and drank beer since then. But, I went twice, and I know the second time was 06. So anyway, the first time it was on a huge, 2 teams were there. They had actually been called in to do it. There was a team out in Knoxville, and there was a team out of like the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee. And I remember Anthony was the team leader on that team, a guy named Anthony. And so I'm going to give credit where's credit's due here.
Right.
And these 2 teams merged. And, we had been trying to find teams since 97 and, to do something with, because you just didn't do that back then. There just wasn't teams on every corner. So anyway, we did this investigation, and I'll never forget this as long as I live, because there was a skeptical person with me, Josh Hopkins, and I'll just say the name. He was a cop. He was a great friend of mine, one of my best friends of all time. Like, we've worked together at several jobs. We've fought each other. We've partied. We've done it all.
Right.
The thing about it is, Josh at the time was a law enforcement officer. And he was very skeptical. Josh has 2 degrees, I believe. He's skeptical minded and to a fault. And I would say that if he was sitting here, he's skeptical to a fault. Ghosts can appear and slap him, and he's going to think that it was a projection and like a rubber hand. A hologram, yeah. It's something far, more advanced than a ghost.
Right.
But we were there that night, and you hear me talk about paradigm shifting. Okay? Very rarely has my paradigm shifted, but it's happened. It's happened several times. I know it's happened to you.
Yes.
At least twice, at least. So this night was that big night. I had seen the full-bodied apparition with you, okay, in 97. And there was no explaining that. That got us into this. That's what really got us going. In this investigation, when you're not expecting to have this level of, this was movie set level horror that happened. We experienced, and I will be honest, I was antagonizing the spirits.
Right.
Partly because I was younger. I was a showman. I was also a pro wrestler at that time. And I was impressing people or whatever, like, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Sorry. I was being disrespectful, something I would never be now.
Right. And
I was being disrespectful to the situation because there was a lot of lives that, a lot of poor souls were lost suddenly from that plane crash. And in that gymnasium of the Cocke County Memorial Building, I could honestly tell you, we were asking for something to happen, and we screamed for something to happen. And when we were screaming for something to happen, these giant doors didn't swing shut and slam. They were shut and latched. They opened and slammed as hard as you can imagine into a stucco wall. That mark in the stucco is still there to this very day from the door slamming. Okay? So we all peed a bit when that happened.
I bet.
But rational minds are still trying to work here.
Right.
That could have been somebody. Somebody could have snuck around there and done that. Okay? We asked for something else, and the door on the other side of the gymnasium answered us right then and did it. Okay, that was so much your heart's pounding out of your chest. All the investigators that are listening right now know this feeling. You know, you want to keep getting that information. Mm-hmm. And part of you, it's the fight or flight. And we didn't fly.
Right.
So we're still wanting something to happen. And that's when we hear something drop. And, you know, is this something bouncing on this gymnasium floor? It was like, it was just this rattle, right? Mm-hmm. And you could hear it near you. You didn't know what it was. We had flashlights. So there was nothing there. Like, we're looking and there's nothing there. And then I get hit in the head. I get hit in the head mm-hmm. with a wooden bingo ball.
Right.
Out of nowhere. This is a gymnasium. Okay. Mm-hmm. There is a roof. There is not rafters.
Right.
This is you were in there.
Yeah, I've been in the building.
Okay, you can see in the middle of that gymnasium floor. There's no way for that to come from anywhere, right?
No.
So I not only got hit, but Anthony got hit and Josh got hit. And then Josh and I heard the ball bouncing in front of us, but the ball wasn't there. Okay? Mm-hmm. So manifestations were happening. All right? Physical manipulation. I mean, time, space kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, this was just actually just appearing.
Right.
And hitting us, manifesting. And you hear about psychic. Sometimes you hear like the skull experiment.
Right.
You hear about them. They did that so many weeks in a row on the same night with the same psychics, mm-hmm. and eventually newspapers dropped from like 1930 or
right. You know, they had all kinds of things like that.
Right. All this stuff you really want to have happen. And we actually, you know, Stacey and I actually did a skull experiment of our own with some people for several weeks mm-hmm. because we were such a fan of that. If you've never watched that, go find that documentary. Mm-hmm. But, you know, that took forever for them to have that level of stuff happening.
Oh, yeah, lots of commitment.
And even when you see it on TV,
mm-hmm.
you might believe it, but part of you,
it's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
You want to believe, right?
Right.
I want to believe.
Right.
But there's still part of all of us, and it's human nature, mm-hmm. when we watch paranormal shows, and that's one of the reasons I'm talking about this. When we watch paranormal shows, there's still part of us that's like, yeah, that's TV. And at the end of the day, mm-hmm. it's still reality TV.
Right.
Okay. They're making that up. They're sensationalizing that. Something might have happened, but they're faking it. Mm-hmm. You know, the F word. Mm-hmm. And the stuff that happened to me that first night haunted me deeply. The EVPs we got afterwards, even more so. We got a woman screaming in the basement. Mm-hmm. We got a baby cooing. We got the I was effing murdered.
Now, isn't that the one they used on the episode?
Right.
I was effing murdered.
Yeah, they used the I was effing murdered.
See, all that stuff that happened to you back on that investigation, I wish some of that stuff had happened when you were doing the episode, but you did get some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's the whole thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, people want to talk about reality TV and what's real and what's not and what's sensationalized. You know, these guys were great. They were class acts. Mm-hmm. Are they investigators? Not real. I mean, they're investigating, so they're investigators now, right?
Right.
But they're not long-term investigators.
Right.
But they're great guys. The production crew were mm-hmm. amazing. Mm-hmm. Most of them came from the Ghost Hunter show.
Right.
So like Kendall and a bunch of them. I made some friends that I believe will be friends for a long time. They're great people, just really good people, mm-hmm. Very helpful, and they take what they do seriously. Mm-hmm. I told everyone beforehand, look, there's something about me when I go in a place. If it's there, it's going to attach to me. It's going to attack you. It's just the way it works. It's worked that way for years. So I'm sure a lot of people say that. And they even told me going in, they're like, you know, there's a lot of people say stuff and we get to the location and they can't produce.
Right. And it's nothing.
Right. And I'm like, whoa, ha, ha. So I team up with Marcus mm-hmm. and just like they have on TV, I'll tell you, it actually didn't take as long as they even show on TV. Mm-hmm. Probably within 5 minutes, we're in the basement. And I will say also on the second investigation there, mm-hmm. that's where one of my best friends in the world, Steve Phillips, he was a wrestler with me and he went by the name Steve Fury. You know, we would never hurt each other. We are truly like family. And we both felt the other one push us. But we were 7 feet away from each other.
Right.
And I mean, it was... the lights came on and here we are, like, you know, fists drawn, mm-hmm. ready to really fight one another.
Which is weird for you guys.
We would never
because
do that.
Anybody that knows you two would know that you wouldn't do that.
No, we would never, ever do that. But there was some kind of anger that took over, some kind of malevolence that took over us and wanted to see us go. They wanted to see the two biggest guys in the room go at it.
Right.
And, for whatever reason. So fast forward, I've got Marcus in the basement. And as everybody could see on the television show, within 5 minutes of investigating, the little girl is Marcus.
Oh, that was my favorite part.
And, it was a hairy moment. It really was. And what they don't show is we went through the entire building because it tried drawing us out of there. We heard a bang upstairs. We heard another bang and another bang. And finally I was like, Marcus, and actually the guys came down from the attic, and none of that's on the episode, but we were like, I told him, I was like, it's trying to draw us away from the basement, in my opinion.
Right.
So we went back to the basement with the guys and the SLS camera. That's when we captured the great, right where I believe a portal was at.
Right.
And we had captured an apparition picture there before. Something came out and was standing there with us, and two things, and punching us and everything else. It was just a really great time. The thing about this place, though, once again, they had a lot of trouble getting it. They had to go through lawyers. They had to go through everything. They were saying the building's condemned, and at first they were like, "Oh, it's not haunted."
I'm pretty sure Benita worked magic to get that place.
They were like, "Oh, it's not haunted. It's not haunted." And then finally somebody comes and calls, and from the fire department's like, "Yeah, it's haunted. My guys have to go over there. It's haunted. It's not condemned." Whatever. I doubt anybody will ever be able to get it again after the show aired.
No, probably not. People probably won't even drive by there now.
Well, it has a little bit of everything. There's conspiracy, there's government conspiracy, there's UFO, there's paranormal. It's all in this one place.
Right.
So happy to be able to tell that story, and I will go back there. It'll happen. That place has drawn me back, several times now. But as far as the show goes, 100%. I already knew the stuff was legit, but it was really nice to get a perspective on that.
Right.
A lot of hard work goes into it, a lot of hard work, a lot of long days. And, they got some great evidence. I think they put on a good production of the show and a good telling of the story, so all in all, Ghost Brothers, great experience. Glad to share it with all of you. And I will say this much. I can't say a whole lot, but I can say this much. Things are not done.
No.
You will be seeing John and Stacey. Let's just say you'll be seeing a lot of John and Stacey. And I don't care. I'm going to say that. You're going to be seeing, I'm manifesting that out into the universe.
There you go.
And that's as far as I'll say on that. But I will say that we are going on an investigation in the coming week.
Yes.
We are going to be traveling 2 days to go on an investigation, and we're going to be with some great friends, and we're going to be with some old friends of ours, and we may or may not have some cameras there,
taking a road trip,
doing some stuff, but it's the first of many. And I wish I could tell you guys more, because I love all of you, and it feels like always feels like I'm talking to family when I'm doing this podcast. We've done this thing for 7 years, and by this point, it just feels like second nature, and we're letting you in on a secret. But hopefully you can read between the lines here. I know I've got a very intelligent audience. I hope you can read between the lines. There's a lot of big things happening.
Yes.
And we're very excited about these things that are happening, and it's some great opportunities. And, I'm going to manifest that into positivity.
And they know that we'll tell them as soon as we can.
And the second that we can tell you, we will tell you. But a lot of cool things going on, and so excited about the trip. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're actually leaving first thing in the morning, so this show is going to be edited on the road.
Yes.
And there's already been some weird stuff happen on this show. We actually had to stop in the middle of a story about the Cott County Memorial Building because it just stopped recording. Nothing would work.
The weirdest things happen.
Yeah, gremlins. I always go back to the Gremlins movie.
Gremlins. Or something like that.
Yeah, there's gremlins in the machine there. So very cool stuff, man. Very cool stuff. And it's a good time. We've got it's finally summer in Maine. It took it took 6 months.
Right.
5 months.
We'll have it for a month or two.
Yeah, for a couple of days.
And then it'll be
fall
again.
Of course, it turns summer and we're leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are going on a long road trip. Hopefully we'll put up a couple of vlogs while we're out. We'll put up a vlog while we're at investigation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's a very cool spot. It's a cool spot that we have done before, and we're going back for our final run on this particular building.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff. Looking forward to sharing some evidence that we capture from there with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I will say there's a whole lot of news, and we've got a little bit of catching up to do. So we're going to bring you the best of the past month.
Right.
And try to catch you up on that. And in fact, I believe it might be time for some paranormal news.
Okay, so let's get to some of these news stories.
Let's.
Okay, there was so much news over the past few weeks.
And I will say, we were going to use the biggest stories that you need to know information.
Right.
Eyes only. Some very big things have happened.
They have, yeah. And so, yeah, some of these stories, they span over the last month.
I know, oddly
basically.
enough, I did peek.
Did you?
I peeked a
You're
little
not
bit.
supposed to peek.
I peek when you're changing, and I peek at your news.
You're a peeker.
I am a peeker. Speaking of peeking, though, on the stories, the first story that you were going to do with the Kurt Russell story,
Right.
we were dying to do this on our episode, and it was like 2 days after we recorded the last episode.
Right.
So it's funny, this one we've been sitting on the whole time because it's very interesting, and
It is.
there's a correlation to something happened to us. I'll let you get to it, but I'm
Yes.
excited about this news story.
Yeah, I absolutely had to do this story just because of what he said that we can associate with.
I didn't see it on even like some of the bigger sites till today. I mean, I've seen it a couple of places, but
Yeah,
today I've seen it on one of the bigger sites.
Yeah, it's been kind of going around.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this is the story about the interview with Kurt Russell and Chris Pratt on the BBC The One Show. And they were there because of the movie. So they were doing an interview, and somehow they got onto the topic of this UFO sighting.
Right.
And so basically, I won't go through exactly what they said. Basically, Kurt Russell was flying a plane with his son.
This is great.
And they were going between LA and Phoenix.
Yeah.
And so he was going into land, and he saw some lights over the airport.
Right.
And so he called the airport because there wasn't supposed to be any other aircraft.
Right, as you would.
And the airport said that there were not any other aircraft around.
Yeah.
They didn't know what it was.
Nothing
and
to
so
see. Move along.
he landed and he let his son, he was dropping his son off, and he left, and they never really talked about it again. Like,
Right.
they didn't mention it. And so a couple years later, he comes home, and Goldie's sitting there watching a UFO program.
Goldie, as in Han?
Yes, his
Yes,
wife.
okay.
Because they're regular people.
Right.
They do that.
Of course.
And so she's watching this UFO program, and something about what they're talking about on the program kind of strikes a chord with him. Like, he's just kind of half listening.
Right.
And he's like, wait a minute, I remember that. And so he went to his logbooks, his flight logbooks, and he checked the date of when him and his son saw those lights against what they were saying on television, and it was the same date. And the television was about the Phoenix lights.
Oh, it's
It was
amazing.
about where all those people saw the, I mean, mass UFO sighting.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite,
Right.
probably my favorite sighting of all time.
Right. So he actually saw it and called it, like, reported it to the airport. So that was pretty cool. And he said one of the strangest things, and this is what I thought was really cool about this story.
Right.
He said that one of the strangest things to him was not that he had seen this UFO, but that he saw it and then completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it until something triggered the memory.
The trigger. And,
Yes.
and what's so funny about this is years ago, Stacey and I had come up with a theory name because of something that happened to us. Actually, a couple things that happened to us. But one time, around 7 years ago, we were on our way back from doing the podcast at the podcast studio in Kingsport. And we were on our way at the time. We lived in the next city over. And we were on the interstate. We got off the exit. And when we got off the exit, we had a UFO encounter.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it could have been, but I can tell you there was a bright light.
Yes.
And it was low and silent, and time seemed to stop. But the thing about it is, it obviously amazed us. We were like, "Holy shit! Can you believe we just witnessed?" You know, it was.
If I remember correctly, the car even flashed.
Yeah.
Like it acted like it was going to die.
Yeah. And it was actually a John and Stacey witness a UFO thing.
Right.
You can it's full on John and Stacey witnessing a UFO. Very cool. You know, this was going to be the biggest thing ever. We were going to tell everyone about it. We were going to talk about it.
Yeah, we couldn't wait to do the next show the next week and everything.
Absolutely. So we totally forget about it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely forget about it. Now you got to remember, this is what we do.
Oh yeah, we were like so excited.
I mean, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, how in the hell would we forget about it? Well, let's just say that a couple of other things happened similar to this. Nothing as hardcore as that sighting,
mm-hmm.
but a couple of things kind of like that. Mm-hmm. And they something triggered them, mm-hmm. and the memory came up. And years ago, we came up with this theory, mm-hmm. and we called it AAT. Now, we didn't think we were ever going to be able to say this to anybody, but
this was our little thing.
Yeah, Stacey and I have a book full of theories, mm-hmm. most paranormal based, but there are ones that go with UFOs, and there's mm-hmm. some that go with elementals, and there's some that go with just strange occurrences in general. Mm-hmm. This particular one we call the anomalous absence theory, mm-hmm. or AAT. After witnessing such an amazing event as, say, a UFO, you find yourself completely forgetting said event until triggered.
Right.
With us, as early as a few days after the event seems to particularly affect UFO sightings.
Yeah, that's when you hear about it the most.
And, you know, so we came up with, and I'm sure there's other people that have come up with theory names for the same phenomenon.
Oh, yeah.
But
we're not the only ones that have noticed this.
Right, not at all. Nor are we saying that.
No.
But we called it anomalous absence theory. It seemed to make sense. And, mm-hmm. and it really messed with us because that's not the kind of people we are. We don't really, you know, back in the college age years, mm-hmm. you would get high. And I'll just say it, you know, you would get stoned, right? Mm-hmm. And then you come up with all these great ideas. Mm-hmm. Now, the next day when you're not stoned, you don't think about it. You don't talk about it. No memory of it. You get stoned again. And then all of a sudden it's like no time has passed since the last time you got stoned. And you're talking about that same stuff. And you're like, holy shit, we totally forgot about this until we got high again. Well, that happened 4 or 5 times. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. There is a correlation here with this part of our brain that we're using, mm-hmm. that for whatever reason is only remembering this. And it was so weird to us that you had like your normal brain that's remembering the normal brain stuff. You had your enhanced brain, you know, mm-hmm. that you're remembering that stuff. God, that's been 20 years ago.
That's been a long time.
It's been that long since we did the Bill Clinton on that. But I will say,
yes. I would like to point out that we were not high when we saw the UFO.
No.
That's not what we're saying. No. We're just saying.
I will tell you exactly. It's been like 19 years since we got any kind of inebriation
ridiculous.
On that.
But it was just so weird because we were so excited to talk about
mm-hmm.
it. Like we were like, oh, we can't wait till we do the next show next week so we can, because at that time we were every single week like on the exact day. And we were like, oh, we can't wait. And we planned out how we were going to talk about it.
Oh, we were live back then.
Yeah. And the next week came and it was like
nothing.
Neither one of us even thought about it.
Yeah, which is really crazy.
It is. Very crazy.
And that just, you know, made us think of this being triggered.
Yes.
So I think that there is something that when you see a UFO, mm-hmm. there is something that makes you kind of forget it.
Right.
You know, or throw it aside. And I don't know if you're right under it or if you're in a certain vicinity.
Who knows?
If the government knows, who knows?
Maybe it's the Men in Black and they come and do the little light flashy thing.
Well, you know, we got one of those stories. So you never know. Anyway, very cool story.
Yes. Okay, so before we go on to the next story, I just want to point out, because the way we're sitting, you can't see it, but while you were talking about that story, the light in the next room has flickered. Like it's gone almost off and back on. It's the second time it's done it since we started the show tonight.
And none of the other lights in here have done anything.
We've got like every light in the house on right this second. I don't know why it's like that.
That's really strange.
Yes, it did it once when you were talking about the Cott County thing, and then once when you were doing the UFO thing. So,
well, both of which are related to UFOs. So
could be. So I'm going to keep my eye on that.
Yeah.
If you see me looking weird over there, you'll know what's going on.
Well, you always look weird over there, so.
Thank you, honey. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this story I thought was kind of interesting, and so I really wanted to bring it up. This is the story about the fossils that they found in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And they actually found their mastodon bones.
Right.
And they actually found them during some freeway construction project back in 1992.
Right.
So they've had them. It's like the San Diego Natural History Museum. They've had these bones for a while.
Right on.
But someone has pulled them out and decided to take another look at them.
Right.
Because I guess that they do that at museums. They're just like, they're bored and they're just pulling things out.
Yeah.
So what has happened is they've done this new study that shows that the mastodon bones have been manipulated by humans, and they've dated these back like 130,000 years. And something about the way they were found with like pieces of things that look like tools,
right,
has just like revealed that there was human activity in the Americas 130,000 years ago, which is incredible.
That's awesome. And especially, I mean, we talk about this all the time.
Oh yeah.
There's always something that happens that that pushes it back a little bit further.
Yes.
You know, and this is just one of those cases.
Yeah, and I mean that's so long ago for America.
Yeah.
And something else that they thought was really strange is they didn't find any human remains in the area.
Right. Right.
And I'm pretty sure they did find little pieces of like tools and things like that. So I thought that was really cool.
No, it is. I mean, I believe coming across the ice bridge is crap anyway. I mean, come on. Just keep digging. You don't know. You don't know. You just don't know.
They don't know anything.
It's just like every month they dig a little further and they're like, oh, okay. Well, we're baffled, and that's not exactly what happened. And it may have been something. I mean, come on. Just, hey, man, let's, it'd be a really good idea. Pongo.
Pongo?
Yeah, that's his caveman name.
Of course.
No, me have no idea. What be a good idea, Gru?
Okay, keep going.
you come on. I mean, it's caveman names.
I got you.
I believe we should go across that really cold bridge. It's only there about 2 months out of the year. Yes, let's go. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure that it happened.
I'm sure.
Because if there's a bridge, you're going to cross it.
You know, that is human nature.
Yeah, it's human nature. But the fact that they all came from there, this is what happened. Let me put this as a nice, neat little package for you. Mm-hmm. And then they did not only across the America, but down through South America. And, you know, that's just how it happened. And we all came from this one little puddle of mud. That's where we all came from.
Well, you know,
there was a monkey ejaculate in the puddle of mud, and the sun hit it just right on a Tuesday, and boom, here we are, and then we all migrated.
Yes, and we spread out.
Yes.
I think that all museums should have to bring all the stuff from their back rooms out and let other people look at it.
Yeah, I mean, like you always see this.
You should have a museum storage cleaning day.
Oh, I'm sorry, that elongated skull? Yeah, it was found recently. It was in this box marked elongated skull in the very back of the. Yeah, come on.
Just ignore the giant coffin in the corner.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Don't even get me on the giant bones. Don't get me on the giant bones. The articles from the newspapers. I even heard one guy. He was like, "Well, you know, back in the early days of newspapers, they put a lot of, you know, caca in there." And really, did they? When everybody knew everyone in town, and there was, you know, a population of 135. You know, I mean, come on. By the way, your weird light story.
Yes.
We'll just let the people know.
All right.
The weirdness has continued.
It just did it again.
Yeah. and we have this lights flickering where there's no bad lights.
Right.
We have the system crashing, which there's nothing wrong with our system. We use, you know, our premier equipment. It's completely fine.
Right.
And yet the system is crashing. Is it what we're talking about? Is it the UFOs? Is it the what is it?
I don't know. It's very strange though.
It is very strange. The activity is high.
Yes. Well, let's go on to this next story, and it will just continue to happen. This isn't so much a story as it is just an announcement. Crop circle season has started.
Oh, so there's a season now.
There's a season. You got to have crops
Yeah, but
to make crop circles.
Don't crops grow at different times during the year throughout the world?
I don't know. Anyway, they call it crop circles.
Okay. All right.
So far, they had 4 reported in April.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had like 3 reported this month. There's like been 7 so far since April. And there's a website. I love this website. It's called cropcircleconnector.com.
And 8 of them are bullcrap.
And you can go to this website and you can see the crop circle picture of it, when it was reported, where it was reported.
Is that what you were looking at a while ago before the show and said,
Yeah.
that one looks like a vagina?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to look because I actually pulled this story off a couple weeks ago. So
It's
I wanted
the aliens who made me.
I wanted to make sure there weren't any new ones so I would know exactly how many had been reported by now. And there actually was a couple extra ones. One just looked very strange.
Wouldn't it be great when the Earthlings have the ability to travel to other planets and put crop circles in, because we don't want to interfere. We don't want to break the what is that golden rule on Star Trek? The oh my God, I apologize, Trekkies.
Right.
Where you can't interfere with the people.
Right.
Oh my God.
I don't know what it's called.
Okay. When you edit this, will you please edit you in right here? I'm going to leave a space of saying that.
Okay.
As Stacey is editing our program, I am sitting in a hotel room in Pennsylvania with her, as I can now say that is the prime directive.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was. Anyway, I can't wait until we as Earthlings get to go somewhere because you know what it's going to be. There's going to be giant penises in alien crops.
Right, and people's names, like so-and-so was here.
Yeah, I love you, Darla. And, just...
For a good time, call and then
Darla,
a phone number.
Yeah. Same girl.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a long story. Sordid history. Oh. All right, continue.
So anyway, well, there isn't really a story here. I just wanted to say that, you can go to
there's
this
a story
website.
here. If you've got a vagina crop circle, there's absolutely a story.
I just looked at it really quickly. It was just oddly shaped. I don't know what it was really.
Right.
But you
just
can
a quick glance, huh?
Go to cropcircleconnector.com. They have a section where you can look at all the ones that have been reported. They also have a section called Crop Circle Rumors, where they put things that they don't really think are real crop circles, but people have reported
all of them.
or things that they know are not real. They have one on there now where this company did an advertisement for beer. Like they paid the guy for his crop, and then they
for his wheat and barley.
Yeah, and they did it. They made an advertisement for the beer in the crop.
Right.
It's funny enough, it took them like a week with like 40 people to make that.
Speaking of the peking vagina, that's something you females, you don't have to deal with that. The thing with you, the fact you have stalls.
Right.
Can you imagine if you had to pee on the wall beside other girls, like no stall, you just kind of went in there and squat, did your business. That's one of the things for a man that there's so many things, especially going through this pregnancy that I just witnessed and where I'm like in awe of women, and I'm wanting to like make, how they used to make like in ancient times, you always find they always find these statues, the ferment. What is it? Oh my God, I'm just not there right now.
The fertility.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Jesus.
Welcome. I knew that one.
I took a bottle of Stacey juice tonight. But the fertility statues, you always find every race, every ancient culture has the fertility statues.
Right.
And it's always like 2 big jugs and no head, just what they cared about, and everybody's like, that's a fertility statue. That's a statue of a couple of boobs. But, I think that the reason that they make those fertility statues,
right,
that's some poor ancient man who just had to witness his wife give birth. That's what happens for the 24 hours or so. Do you remember when you had Ariana? You were like, man, I really loved how you treated me that night.
Yeah.
For the 24 hours or so after the woman gives birth,
right,
that's when the man knows, okay, she's got one up on me. All right. There is something that's just not right when your hip bones dislodge and you're able to push this walrus out of your silly straw. and it makes no sense.
Are those actual names?
That's the medical term. And it makes no sense whatsoever. And you're just like, you're in awe of woman, you're like, oh my God, it's just so amazing. But the one thing that you gals don't get about men is the fact that from a very young age, when we're in grade school, that's when it first happens. That's when you have to go in. And I've always been very confident or very not concerned. I've never been concerned. I've never been one of those guys that cares if another guy sees my wang, right?
Right.
It's never bothered me. In fact, I'll tell him what his name is and introduce him, whatever. I don't care. But that's not the point. The point is the peekers. Okay.
Right.
That's what's always bothered me. Now, I was a wrestler. I changed in front of people for a living. Okay. Still never bothered me until I had the peekers. Now, this has nothing to do with gay, straight, because most of these guys were straight. The gay guys didn't peek. They just didn't. They were polite. They were, over in the corner, doing each other's hair. I mean, they were sweeping up the backstage area. They weren't, doing anything. They were like, we should really redecorate in here. I mean, they weren't doing anything bad. Is what I'm saying. Very polite. The peekers has always freaked me out, and it still happens to this day.
Right.
When I'm going in a Target or a Walmart or something, and I go in there and I take a whiz, there's always a peeker. And
would you rather them just full on look at you?
Well, I would rather them say, "Excuse me, can I look at your penis for a moment?" I've always wondered, you're about the same height as me, you seem about the same weight. I've always just kind of wondered, and I do get it a little bit that out of every body part, it's kind of like noses. Everybody has a different nose.
Right.
Everybody totally has a different looking one of those. Okay. It's very strange. It's very odd, but
this whole conversation is very strange.
I just wanted to throw out, because there's a lot of talk in social media and on news these days about, equal pay, equal work, and equality, and all this diversity and everything.
Right.
I just wanted to let the plight of man, the plight of man, be known as one of the plights of man that never gets talked about, because I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's going to say, yeah, everybody does it. Don't even pretend you don't. Especially you, Sally. You're doing it right now. I'm the guy who's like, all right, everybody does this, and now I'm not a peeker. I'm the guy who's reading the ad, and I know you've never been in a urinal.
No.
So especially in truck stops, they're my favorites.
Right.
Because they always have ads right where your eyes are. Okay? And so the cool thing is, you're not really reading the ad, but you're totally pretending real hard that you are, especially when you got a peeker beside you. Okay? So you don't want to look over. That's where it gets awkward. Okay, it's already a little bit awkward because you can feel the eyes looking at you.
Right.
But if you turn and confront, that's a whole nother level of weird, man. Because where do you go from there, right? Where do you go? Is that a fight? Is that a conversation?
So, no eye contact. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Your penis is letting you know that there's another man staring at you right now. He's like, hey, boss. Hey, boss. This guy over here beside us, he's kind of, he's a peeker, and you're looking at the thing, whatever they put on there for truckers. The weirdest thing for truckers, 29,000 channeled CB or whatever. Then you're totally just reading the crap out of it, man. It's I don't know. It's just one of the plights of man. I figured I'd throw it in there. I know it's not paranormal, but oh my God, it is.
Yeah. I what's paranormal is how we got from crop circles to that.
Well, probably because when I hear a crop circle story, it makes me want to urinate.
Okay.
I know that I said I learned my lesson, and
Right.
I know there are legitimate crop circles, but the crop circle phenomena is something that can be faked so easily.
It can.
It bothers me.
Yes.
But it bothers me more that there's ones that really can't be explained, and how then there's no way someone could have done it.
Right.
It bothers me why the aliens would do it. Okay. Either aliens or elementals. I've thought both. Time travelers. It's some code that's not for us.
Right.
It's for somebody who understands what that code is for.
Right. Or it's just for the really, really smart people that can figure it out.
It's for something.
Yeah.
You know, let's pretend it's real for a second.
Okay.
Let's pretend it's absolutely 100% real.
Okay.
Where do we go from there? Like, what do we do? Do we try to code break it? Do we try to figure
I
that
think
out?
people do. I think people study them and try to figure out what they mean.
But are they the right people?
I have no idea.
You know, I mean, is there university funding?
Personally, I don't study crop circles. I just find them fascinating, and I like to report on them for people that do want to read about it.
Well, it's the problem with all paranormal, okay? It's the problem with all of it. And it's the reason that I believe, other than if I had never seen a ghost,
Right.
if I had never had any kind of UFO encounter, I think I would still be interested in it because of the fact it bothers me that this strange phenomena happens. Strange phenomena happens. Now let me give you a little bit of example. If I call the cops right now and I tell them that there's a group of vandals in front of my house vandalizing my car,
Right.
they're going to take my word on that, and they're going to investigate. And they're going to send their top guys that are available at that time to come down and investigate. Okay. If I call them and tell them that a UFO, that some alien is writing his name in my crops,
Right.
they're going to laugh. They're not going to take it very serious.
Right.
And there's not going to be a college, university funded investigation into this. Why? Why do they not investigate with the universities? Why do they not take it seriously? Why do they make fun of? Why do they slander? Because something's being hidden somewhere, and that's really, if you look at it like that, you're like, okay, why is this not being done? Mysterious booms, we talk about it all the time. Every week there's a new mysterious boom. We don't know where the hell it's coming from.
Maybe it's because they can't figure it out.
Yeah, it's because somebody's hiding something.
Oh,
But,
I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm sure. All right. Well, let's move on.
Let's.
Okay. So let's go on to our next story. This one's really interesting.
All right.
All right. So this is a story about the tablet that called the Vulture Stone that they found in Göbekli Tepe.
Okay.
Okay. And a research team led by the University of Edinburgh, they recently finished translating the tablet. And what they say that it says is that it's sort of been date stamped to about 10,950 BC.
Well, yeah, that falls right in line with Graham Hancock.
Right. And so they basically say that it kind of validates the theory that there was a comet swarm about 13,000 years ago.
Right.
And that we were actually hit with comets.
And that's what set off the difference between our higher educated society and the kind of the reset button.
Right, right. And of course, it's not all scientists are taking this as validation because they say that they haven't found a crater or whatever. But I thought this was really interesting because they've translated this and it kind of validates, like you were talking about, what Graham Hancock's always said.
Always.
Yeah. And
I mean, people have completely persecuted Graham Hancock over the years, and everything he says is more and more being validated.
Right.
I will say, and you'll need to link to this for anyone who hasn't seen this, there's a recent debate with Mr. Real Scientist against Graham Hancock on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
It's absolutely phenomenal. And the debate has been cut out and it's been shared a million times. You need to watch it, and we'll put it on the website.
Yeah, I'll definitely link to that.
But yeah, this story itself, Göbekli Tepe is one of my favorite conversations because they've only uncovered such a small percentage of what's there, and the carvings are so masterful, and things that shouldn't be carved there.
And the fact that they have to uncover it.
They have to, because it was covered on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to me, is that it's not weathering that covered it. It was buried on purpose.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal. And just the age of it, they're look at 15,000 years, 13,000 years. They look at this age. We're not supposed to have been doing things like this.
Right.
And so this throws everything on its head.
Well, this I thought was so interesting because, they've had all these theories about this comet swarm and how because there's temperature upsets and stuff. And this is kind of like they're calling it the smoking gun.
Right.
Like this is really proves that. But, there's always skeptics. They're not going to be happy until...
Well, there is. But if anybody that listens to the show has never studied Göbekli Tepe,
right,
you need to go out of your way to watch any videos, read any literature, and really dive into it. If you're listening to the show, then you love the unexplained, then you love the mysteries of the world. This, my friends, is one of the greatest active mysteries that we are currently trying to uncover in the world today. And it really gives credence to what I believe, that we were very advanced at one point in time. I believe we were more advanced than we are now.
Oh, yeah.
I believe there were nuclear type wars. And I believe that, a lot of the glass and stuff I believe this all happened before and
Yes.
probably not just once. We've talked about when you look at millions of years, right?
Right.
Compared to the fact that we have trouble going back 1,500 years, 2,000 years. It's sketchy at best.
Right.
And 1,000 years is sketchy at best. Imagine millions. So, what could have happened here millions of years ago? What could have happened here? How many times have we went around this thing? So
it's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not going to jump down that hole, but I am going to say again, Graham Hancock's one of the people that I don't agree with everything the guy says.
Well, right.
But there is a lot of what he said that has come to fruition and at least been validated to some degree. So, hats off to him because he took a lot of persecution over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody like that, I respect.
Very rarely does anybody ever agree fully with somebody else.
No.
I mean, we don't even agree on everything.
Oh, I agree with everything you say.
Well played.
Yes.
Well played.
Thank
All right.
you.
So here's a very recent story. And this is the one, it's just a kind of an update that the alien megastructure star.
Tabby Star.
Yes, that's back in the news again because it is dimming again.
I love this one.
I know. Well, this one, it just happened recently. And they actually, when it happened, they actually put a call out.
Yeah, nerd alert.
All the astronomers, amateur astronomers, everybody to turn their telescopes to the star so that they could see it dimming in real time. And I don't know what they thought they were going to get from that, but hopefully figure out why it's doing it. I don't think they still know.
It's very cool. I mean, it's whatever it is something new.
Right.
I will again on record say that I do not believe that there is an alien megastructure being built around this star.
I don't think so either. It's that light one again.
Yeah.
It's something that, I don't know what's going on with that.
So
That
do you
weird.
just want me to keep saying alien and see if every time I do it,
if it blinks?
the light dims?
That's really weird. Anyway.
Alien.
Nope.
Nothing?
Nothing. Okay. Anyway. So, well, I thought this was really interesting that it's doing it again. I'm hoping in the next couple weeks, maybe they have a new theory, but I'm with you. I don't think that they're building a Dyson sphere on it or whatever.
I mean, here's the thing.
It's unusual.
Here's the thing. What's the probability that this star that they can barely see, okay?
Right.
They can barely get any light from, and they're basically getting computer top light anyway.
Right.
What's that their theory is the absolute correct thing. You know what I mean?
I know.
I mean, there's so many other things this could be
because
we don't know enough about space.
Well, exactly. I was going to say, it could be something they've never heard of before.
Right.
I mean, that happens.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just love it when it pops up in the news because...
There's some reptilian right now, watching the news underground here on Earth going, "Shh, it's just a dimming star," just, God,
why is everybody freaking out? I
These
don't know.
guys. This is why we live underground.
All right. So, let's move on.
Time to send another president up. Put the mask on, Bob.
Okay. So, here's a cool story from California.
Oh, everything's cool in
This
California.
just happened the other
except
day.
The weather.
So, this is at an elementary school where it rained fish.
Ah.
Yes, we haven't had one of these in a while.
No, it's been a while.
So this is at Oroville Elementary School. They showed up on Wednesday morning,
Right.
and overnight on Tuesday, the elementary school was hit by a wave of like fish, like it rained fish.
No, I get you.
And at first, the teachers and stuff thought it was kind of a prank, but it was on the roof.
Did they think it
of
was
the
a prank?
school, and it was in the
Damn it, Billy.
in the playground. But then it happened again while the students were there.
Wow.
So it rained fish, little ones, little fish.
Look, well, hopefully, yes.
And so
I mean, I believe if it rained sharks, we would have heard about it already.
I would think so. Some kids would probably be missing. But supposedly this is not an unheard of phenomenon. Supposedly
No, we've
it
heard
was
of it.
storming.
Yeah.
And supposedly fish can get sucked out of the ocean and
Yeah, Doctor Who, I've seen it.
rained down on.
The fish swim in the atmosphere.
It's so weird. I couldn't, if I was a little kid and I was playing and fish fell out of the sky,
How would you like
I would
to-
never go outside again.
How would you like to be the poor fish that gets sucked up into the air somehow?
And then dropped on a
Yeah.
playground. Like I was just swimming. I don't know what happened.
Come on, if I was an adult and it rained fish outside right now, I don't think I'd go back out. I'd just be like, all right, that's done. That's it for me, kids. I'm drawing a check.
I'm not going anywhere. Forget it. I was looking at the comments of this story, and there was people saying that they'd seen it before, and one person was like, yeah, I was somewhere once when I was a kid, and it was raining frogs, and I always thought, like, I think that's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
I think that's biblical. I think if it starts raining frogs, you need you need a church.
Yeah. You need to find Jesus. You need to find Jesus. It's a swarm of locusts.
All right, so let's move on.
Let's.
All right, so here's a story
Did the
about...
find Jesus make the light dim?
No,
Okay.
it didn't. All right, so this is a story about the governor in New York has come out and said that the governor's mansion is haunted.
Yes.
Yes, did you see this?
Yes, I did.
So this came after...
Lots of haunted governor mansions.
Well, remember we did the story
Yes,
about the Brazil's president.
Yeah, right, in Brazil's president, yeah.
And he actually moved houses
Yeah.
to the vice president's house. So this time it's Governor Andrew, I don't know how to say his last name. It's like Cuomo. Is that how you say his last name?
Yes, that's how you say his last name.
Wow. Well, he actually talked in an interview
So disappointed in you.
about
If it's not paranormal, you have no idea.
about the governor's mansion
Yes.
and how it's haunted and it's creepy and it's big and it creeps him out.
Did he say it was big like that?
He said it.
He said it's creepy and it's big, and it
He
freaks
said
me
it's
out.
a creepy house.
Oh.
He said he was a big tough guy.
Like, is he 9?
It's creepy and it's big. It freaks me out.
Yes. So apparently ghosts in the governor's mansion in New York.
So I wonder if he wants an investigation, since we are really close to New York.
That'd be cool.
It would. You want me to send him a letter?
Yes.
We'll send
Let's
it.
do that.
I'll send it snail mail.
First governor's mansions, next the White House.
Dude, that's number one. You know it. The White House is the place I want to investigate worse than anywhere in the entire world.
Could you imagine
Yes.
what you could get in the White House?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine all the important things that happen there. It's just amazing.
The secrets, the stains. I mean,
The important people that all live there. The states.
I mean, so much cool stuff.
All right, so we just have a couple more things to touch on here real quick. This is a story about the Loch Ness Monster had gone missing. Did you remember they were talking about how nobody had a Loch Ness Monster sighting in like 8 months?
I thought it had been about fitting.
Well, supposedly there's been
Damn no Loch Ness monster.
2 sightings recently after this whole like 8-month hiatus of no sightings of Loch Ness Monster. I think Loch Ness Monster was just on vacation,
Yes.
apparently. But supposedly,
They were losing their minds because there hadn't been a sighting.
I know, because there's actually a guy that like records
Right.
the Loch Ness Monster sightings.
course
Like
there is.
every time there's one, he keeps it in a log, and he
But
was
he doesn't
starting
get
to get
paid.
worried. No, I think he just does it out of love
Yeah.
for Nessie. So there was a 28
Welcome to the field.
28-year-old
It's all love and passion.
a 28-year-old woman that actually got a picture, and then there was a little bit later somebody had a video. Now the video, look, it's going past a boat. Could be a log. Could be.
Probably a
Could
log.
be. But they like to say that it's Nessie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It went by a boat and it didn't like move or get scared, and people in the boat
I
didn't
thought
like
you were going to say it
point.
didn't moo. I was going to be like, I
Like,
didn't know that was a thing.
Probably didn't moo either. I don't know. I've never talked to the Loch
Yeah,
Ness
so-
Monster.
tricky Loch Ness monster
It's-
taking my cows.
It's funny because after these stories came out, I actually saw a story from Maine where some guy took a
Yes.
video in, was that the Penobscot?
Yeah.
Of something going down. He's like, look, it's Maine's Loch Ness monster.
Dude, it looks just like the famous fake picture of Nessie.
It did.
It looks exactly like that famous picture of Nessie.
Yes.
And the one that we had on the wall and everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, that video looked kind of like this other video that they had taken where, I said it could have been a log, but this one, and I think the guy talking, I think he said something that looked like it was moving, and I couldn't really tell. Like, I watched the video, I couldn't really tell. Some weird stuff that happens in Maine, though.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
God.
some weird stuff.
Yeah, it's a strange state. It's happening right now.
Yes. Weird stuff is happening right here in Maine.
1853. The house is from 1853. We
Well-
don't need a studio anymore. Let's have a home studio.
It'll be fun to record in a haunted
It'll
place.
be great. It'll be haunted and active the whole time.
Yes. I didn't take into consideration the technical difficulties
Right.
and the flashing lights and the voices that show up when I'm editing.
Oh,
and
dude, this one. If you're listening to this one and you want some fun, listen for the voices.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard so many voices during this episode.
Actually, if you go back and you listen to all of our episodes, I'm pretty sure almost all of them have EVPs in them.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
mean, I can hear them when I'm editing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got live studio mics going,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely.
And we're talking about paranormal things.
Yeah, there's absolutely. I've heard a couple. I heard a laugh earlier.
Did you?
Yeah, I heard a laugh, like a whisper laugh, like. So at least we're entertaining.
So whoever that is over here cutting my computer off
Yeah,
and then laughing about
absolutely. Maybe it's the same person that's making you sing the Mr. Sandman song.
it. That is the craziest thing.
It's been going through my head for months.
So I'll just tell this little story real quick. So today I'm working around the house. We're getting ready to go on a trip. So I'm packing stuff up. I'm getting stuff together, just doing, housework. And all of a sudden I realize I'm singing and humming Mr. Sandman,
Right.
The old song. I don't even know who sings it originally.
Right.
And so I hollered at my daughter and I was like, Raja, have you been listening to this song? Did this come on the radio? Have you been playing it? Did you mention it? Did we watch a movie? Anything? And she was like, no, I don't think so. And so John came home later on and I was like, the weirdest thing happened today. And I was telling him about it. And he said, I've been singing that in my head for months.
When I use the bathroom, like when I go take a wee willy winkle,
Right.
I'll be humming it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yes. I noticed
Yeah.
that happens in this house a lot. And I told you also that I noticed that I'll be in the kitchen and I'll start singing a church hymn.
yeah.
And, we don't regularly go to church.
And by
So
regularly, we mean ever.
There's absolutely no reason why I should be singing church hymns, like old ones that I don't even really know, but I'll just be humming them because I
Like-
kind of know the tune.
Like bringing in the cheese.
That's exactly the one. How did you know that? That's so creepy. Don't do that.
What?
You've heard it too, haven't you?
I knew what happened to you.
Oh, but I didn't tell you.
No, honey, I'm a,
Yes, that one goes through my head all the time.
I
It
get-
drives me crazy.
I get things.
Oh, okay. We're going to stop talking about this now.
Okay,
This is why we
sorry.
don't talk about things. All right. So this is the last little bit. Speaking of haunted houses, I just wanted
Yeah.
to mention these haunted houses that popped up on the internet over the
Okay,
last couple
all
weeks
right.
that were for sale that I thought was kind of cool. So the first one is this one that's for sale in Mineral Wells. And it is actually for sale, and it's actually a house that they rent out to paranormal investigators.
Ah.
But the owners want to sell it. So the house is appraised at like $26,000, but it can be yours for $125,000 because it has income potential.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So apparently it's known as the Haunted Hill House.
That's a generic name.
Yes, kind of. And it's huge. It's got 2,800 square feet. There's lots of pictures on there. And supposedly it comes with 9 ghosts. I guess that's what they've determined
Well, that's awesome.
from all of these, paranormal investigations or whatever. It was built in 1890. I think they used it as a brothel at one point in time,
well, it's
perhaps.
Active ghost.
And the funny thing is at one point the home had 3 bathrooms, but one bathroom's been completely sealed up and nobody even knows why.
It's probably to sell the house.
Maybe. I don't know. So interesting. I think it's still for sale. It was the other day when I looked.
Yeah.
So if you live near Mineral Wells, I want to say that's in Texas. I'm not exactly sure.
I would have to investigate the place first before I.
Yes. Well, you can for $200.
Well, that's not
if
bad.
you just go on the website and book it. So there you go. But it's for sale. So if any of you ever dreamed of owning your own paranormal paper boo,
There you go.
thing. So there you go.
You used my
I
theory.
used your term. I
Thank
know.
you.
Okay, and so this other one was just a really weird listing that was put on Zillow, and people started calling it the Nightmare House, and people went crazy
Yeah,
when this thing went up. Zillow actually took it down.
Yeah, they went nuts. They actually did the I mean, for the internet, I think it went a full 24 hours that people cared.
Yeah, and
It was
like
wild.
a full 24 hours. I know. And I think it got a lot of views, but it
Yeah.
was in Casey, South Carolina. And the funny thing about it is it's a house that was for sale and it's going through a real estate agent place that doesn't actively sell the house. They just let you list through them so that you can get on the MLS. So it's like a for sale by owner thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the owners wrote the sales thing,
Right.
and the real estate agent got all these calls on it and all these messages, and he had no idea. Like, he was just floored. But the thing about it is it's a 2-story house, and they said that you can't see the upstairs apartment under any circumstances, and that there's a month-to-month tenancy going on up there, but nobody's ever there. Nobody ever pays. But you got to kind of keep that going.
Right.
So it was very strange. Like, the whole thing, they were like, it's really weird. Don't bother asking. You can't go up there. The current owner leases it out, but nobody ever pays. And there's not actually a person up there, but there's a lease.
So let me ask you a question.
It's
Let me ask you a
weird.
question. So let's say we get put in that house.
Right.
Would you ever screw with that apartment? I know we're not afraid of ghosts. I know
Right.
that we investigate and we do all this stuff, but you are so respectful of things. If you really thought that you would leave it alone, wouldn't you?
Well, if I really thought there was a spirit up there, yes, but I wouldn't not go in there. I'd still go up there and check it out.
Knock on the door.
Yeah, and be like, I'm coming in now.
You know what would happen?
What?
It'd be like the thing that happened at Waverly. You remember? No, I knocked on the door.
Oh, yeah, and then someone was like, what?
Yeah, it was all jackassery. I was like, "Hello, anybody here?" And it's like, "What do you want?"
That was weird.
I'll never forget that.
That's because things like that happen when we're not actually recording.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anybody was recording. There
I
was
don't
like
think
5
so.
of us.
Well, I was close to the end of the night,
Yeah, and I was
I think we were just
Yeah, I think because you were like, "There's a closed door," and I was like,
were,
"Oh yeah."
just making a final
Yeah.
sweep of the place, and
Oh,
we were goofing off. That's kind of like the theory where you'll get a really, really good EVP on your recording right when you're saying something terrible about somebody else on your team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when that always
Which is
happens.
all the
So
time.
then you can't play it for
That's
anybody.
why we quit having teams.
You can't play it for anybody because you've said something terrible.
Yeah.
And there it is.
It's just like it never fails. It's like Andy. It's just something. EVP.
Yes. So,
Just using a generic name that I thought of.
yes, of course,
Yeah.
just random.
Yeah,
Just
it's
random.
nobody in particular we've ever investigated with ever.
Okay, so that's all the news that I picked out
All right,
for
well,
this week.
I think you did a spectacular job,
Thank you.
and I really enjoyed the news. And more so than that, thank you everyone for having the patience with us, for having the little baby time, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yes.
I know we sure as hell have, and we will be like KOPEC take going forward here. We'll be a lot more regular.
Yes,
And,
except we are going out of town
yes.
this next week. So,
Yes, for an investigation though. So
yes, we'll be gone for like 10 days.
you
or
know
something.
what they could do though to see us in the next 10 days?
What's that?
They could probably visit ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find John and Stacey on vacation. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. You will also find little tidbits there about our haunted vacation. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. There'll be a lot less there about it, but you can still go. On Instagram, Hot Vacation Damn, it's John and Stacey Edwards. And on YouTube, you can search Paranormal Sideshow. And You can check us out, kids, however you're checking us out right now, on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, however it is you listen to it. And like I said earlier, if it's not on the way that you like to listen, let us know at johnandstaceyedwards@gmail.com, and we will protest until we get our way. For my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the sideshow.
Good night.